Hi, my name is Chelsea. I'm 23 years old, and I started my journey with Iboga about 6 months ago. And when I got down to Costa Rica, I was almost dead. A little bit about what brought me here. I had a lot of issues from a very young age, depression, anxiety, PTSD, just I was a very troubled little kid, and before I was even a teenager, I was put on psychiatric medications because my parents didn't know how to help me, and I was cutting myself at 9 years old, and they didn't know what to do, um, and as time went by, it got more and more serious, and I ended up trying to kill myself. Starting off pretty minor attempts, and as time went on, they got more and more serious. When I turned 18, after a couple weeks in the psych hospital, I went to treatment for mental health. And it also doubled as a rehab center. And I met a guy there and ignored the advice to stay out of relationships. He was a heroin addict, and we started dating and moved in together after rehab. Very quickly, I had a lot of codependency issues, and he started using heroin pretty quickly after we left rehab, and started abusing me, which wasn't really different from any of my other relationships. I had always been in abusive relationships with really nasty people growing up, but this one was particularly violent, and I was legitimately scared for my life. But I didn't know how to leave the guy because I didn't want to be alone. So I, started trying to kill myself. I didn't know what to do. When he wasn't beating me up, I was beating me up. And eventually I ended up just turning to heroin and meth because I just didn't know how else to get rid of this pain. And things got bad really quickly for me. I lost my job. I lost my apartment. I lost all my money. I lost my savings. I was totally broken. And I remember just feeling like a shell of a person. Like there was nothing inside of me anymore. Like I was completely empty. And I ended up having some warrants for my arrest. So did the guy I was with. And he went to prison, which probably saved my life, but I had no way to support myself anymore. I didn't have my drug dealer anymore, and I ended up homeless. No car because I had gotten a DUI. Warrants, having to move from town to town so that the cops wouldn't know me. I couldn't really stay anywhere, and I was just doing drugs, so much meth that I would stay awake because I didn't know where I'd be sleeping. And that went on for a while. I started going in and out of treatment centers, trying to get it, but they just pumped me full of more medications, and I felt like a zombie, but every time I tried to get off them, I tried to kill myself. So I thought I had to have them. I thought I was going to live as an addict for the rest of my life. And I had accepted that, and I had accepted that I was going to die from a heroin overdose. By that point, I had no money, not enough money for food. I wasn't eating. I dropped down to 87 pounds. And I was shooting up 10 or more times a day, just doing a crazy amount, especially for my body weight. And I was waking up sick every morning. So sick I would be throwing up. I couldn't even move without getting high first because I was just so sick. And at that point, it didn't feel like an option anymore. It didn't feel like I was even doing it to escape. I was just trying to not be sick, trying to beat the physical sickness, and that was some real torture. And I ended up in rehab again about a year and a half ago and got a couple months clean, and was supposed to go see my family. They were going to see me clean for the first time in a really long time for Christmas. I was flying there, and I couldn't stay clean for it. I ended up using and ended up in the psych hospital on Christmas Day. And the day after Christmas, they told me that they didn't really know if they were going to let me out for a while. And I was there for a while. And it was a really really horrifying experience. I was put on like 9 or 10 different medications. And I just completely felt like I had no control of myself, and I felt so disconnected from everybody. I felt so alone. I was just miserable. And when I got out of the psych hospital, I decided, I went back to the drugs because I didn't know any other way to deal with what was going on with me. I didn't want to go back to them, but I felt like I had no option because it was the only way I knew how to live. But I decided to really, really try hard to keep it under wraps from people because I didn't want my parents to be worrying about me. Everybody thought I was going to die. And I just didn't want my parents to be constantly waiting for the phone call to hear that I was dead, like they told me they were always waiting for. So I kept it under wraps, and that was the loneliest year of my life because I was not being honest with a single person about what was going on with me. And I was telling people that everything was fine when it wasn't. And I was dope sick, and I had to lie about it. And it was just so lonely. I couldn't handle it. And it spiraled me into a deeper depression than I had ever seen before. But something left in me just wanted something better for myself. And I ended up calling my sister and getting honest with her about what was going on. And she told me about a friend who had told her about Iboga and how it had helped opiate addicts of decades, And so I was really hesitant. But I agreed to do it, saying, this is my last shot. My parents were not going to help me. They helped me get down here. They were not going to be able to help me again because I had just sucked them dry of money. And if it wasn't going to work, I knew that it was done for me. This was really my last chance. And I came down here, and since my first journey, my life has been totally amazing. I have learned to be happy, and that it's really not even that hard. I've learned to get out of those constant loops that I had in my head where I'd say all these negative, hurtful things about myself, and I don't entertain those thoughts anymore. I'm able to move past them. I'm able to do all of the things that I told myself I wanted to do but never had the chance to do. I was surrounded by people who were pushing for me, which I had never had in my life. I felt like I never really had that kind of support. And for the first time I had that when I came down here, and it made all the difference. But really, the Iboga has just shown me who I really am, and allowed me to give myself a break because I was so hard on myself for my entire life. And I'm able to see that I'm human and that I make mistakes and not dwell on my past, but just see what I can do from here on out. In December, I got the chance to go to Gabon to get initiated into the Bwiti tribe, and it was the most amazing experience of my life. I can't even really explain what I got from Africa because it was just so much. But it's incredible how much my life has changed. Even if things were to get bad, even if the worst thing I could think of happened, I wouldn't go back to it because the reason I kept going back was because I thought that I was stuck in that sadness, that depression, that addiction for my entire life. The rehabs told me that I was going to be dealing with cravings for the rest of my life. And I had never been happy. I didn't know what it was to be happy. So I didn't think it was possible. And now I know that I can be happy. I've lived it. And seen how good life can really be as long as I just make that choice to do it. To live, the life that I want to live. And it's incredible. I came down here not looking for total healing. I wasn't looking to get happy. I was looking to just get off the drugs. And Iboga has given me so much more than I could ever imagine. And I'm so grateful that I was able to get down here. And I'm grateful for every bad thing that happened because it all led me up to the point that got me here, and I'm happier than I ever knew was even possible. And it's really incredible. I recommend Iboga for anybody, but especially, I had a lot of issues with beating myself up and getting in my own way and sabotaging myself, and Iboga really helped me to stop doing that and see what I was doing to myself, and make it as simple as making a decision not to do that anymore. So yeah, it's been amazing. Iboga saved my life. 100%. I would not still be here if it weren't for Iboga. So